hey, hey, wake up. Hey, hey, wake up.
Welcome to In the Mind of a Pianist. Let's talk about fingering for a piano piece and the logic behind it. In the year 1997, I started getting serious about piano, and I remember trying to find the best fingerings for each passage in my music. And every day, the finger patterns I wanted to use would change. I gave in to those whims, and I didn't have my bearings as to what are the most critical considerations when choosing fingering patterns. I came up with finger patterns which I thought were very clever, and ones I thought would work the best. But the most apparent fingering choices are very often not good. It truly is a sophisticated science, and you'll be wise to outsource your trust in yourself to a good teacher or to Alfred Cortot and Arthur Schnabel and Andras Schiff and people like them who thoroughly understand the science and have made it into an art form in its very self. Some very good editors provide conservative and academic fingerings. I do tend to prefer the more clever and unusual or uncommon fingerings at the end of the day. These can lead you to a more interesting, engaging, and dynamic end product. I've devised a list in order of importance of some of the considerations involved. The number one consideration is the sound. What kind of sound do you want, and how will the fingering affect it? Number two is injury prevention. Now this is sort of a joke since injury prevention might be number one, but I like to place sound above preventing injuries. In reality, if you're achieving the best sound, you will not become injured, since the former requires a certain use of the body, which renders the latter impossible. Consider the arm technique and how the arm must move to play any given passage with success. Your teacher will need to provide guidance here, as it takes a lot of experience to know this part. Do you want to have a series of smaller arm shifts, or do you want a broad sweep? Does the arm need to bounce or push off to create phrasing, etc.? Number four is that the fingering patterns help you to organize the music for phrasing and technique. Let's take a look at a spot in Liszt's La Campanella to illustrate this. In the Liszt etude La Campanella, there's a moment towards the beginning in measure 11 where a lot of people will be tempted to put their thumb on the B, 1, 5, 2, 1, 2, 5, because that just seems to fit the hand better. But if you do that, you won't get an accent, first of all, on this thumb. And also it doesn't organize the music. These four notes are part of a group, and then these two notes are part of a group, four notes, two notes. So the finger patterns help you to group the music. Number five is memory. Some finger patterns are more memorable than others. I was lucky enough to have organ lessons with Dr. Pamela Decker at the University of Arizona, and she insisted that I write on my score every single finger number. And for organ, you also need to write toe or heel in the pedal part. This is Buxtehude, and customarily you only use toes and no heels in the music of Buxtehude. So that's why you only see triangles here and no circles. Dr. Decker taught me the importance of planning out all of your fingering as a piece of assurance for successful performance. She taught me to approach every piece I'm learning as a puzzle that needs solving. It's a very fun task, even though it can be grueling. Let's talk a little bit about this really cool Prelude in C by Alexander Scriabin. This is a very cool piece. Not too difficult, but very interesting. So you have a 5-note motive with 2 hands together. Then your right hand alone plays 5 notes, which constitutes some contrasting syntax. It's an afterthought or an answer. So you want to get a different sound. The first one, think deep. You've got 2 tenutos. He wants you to show D moving to C, and then a little swell, and then a little swell. Okay, quick commercial break. I teach a lot of young people, and very often you'll say something to a young person, and they react like, "Oh, that's so obvious, duh." Yesterday I said to a student, "Your elbow is like a joystick, and your fingers are like that little character on the screen, and your elbow controls where your fingers go." And a lot of these things are obvious, but to put them in practice really takes a lot of attention, and it takes time. It's not something you can just apply instantly. It might seem on the surface obvious that your elbow operates the orientation of your fingers, but very few people do it. So really think a lot about this. For example, finger 5. When you play finger 5, what does the elbow do? You see that? In a way, it feels like I fall or sink into a hole. So as we know, this little finger may not be our strongest finger, right? Certainly not as strong as fingers 1, 2, and 3. However, this finger 5 is in line structurally with your arm. If you were hanging off the edge of a building, boy, you want finger 5. That is going to give you a lot of strength to hang, and it could save your life. This finger alone is not maybe the strongest. However, once you get the arm behind it, the full weight and mass of the arm, now it's an equalizing force, right? The arm can be an equalizing force, causing this finger to be able to hold its own against the strong thumb, pointer, and third finger. So this afterthought is 5 notes. Notice we're not going to use the thumb, but also there is a skip. This figure has a skip. It would be easier to play if you use your thumb. However, that doesn't mean we should do it. So what I want to stress here is very often the easy fingering is not the correct fingering. Okay, so Scriabin wants to highlight this skip in the middle. D, E, A, G, we skip over F and end on E. So we're moving around the pitch of E, but being featured is this skip, this interval of a third. It's quite beautiful. Okay, so the fingering we should use is 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, which you're going to notice in your elbow a lot of adjustment. You play finger 2, finger 3. Finger 2 and 3 are central. They balance your arm weight perfectly. And then sink into a hole. Let your elbow go down. 5, 4, and then a skip. From 4 to 3, we have a skip. So your elbow will raise significantly to carry your hand across that gap. And we want this. Okay, so the point is, use the fingering the composer wanted, or at least study it and try to understand why. Here's another reason why this fingering is good. 2, 3, we're going to finger 3. 5, 4, 3, we're again going to finger 3. So in your mind, we're going to finger 3 twice. Okay, that just conceptually helps you remember it and helps you feel at one with the music. Let's talk a little bit about measure 163 in the Chopin Scherzo number 4. Cortot suggests a fingering in which both hands play finger 3, both hands play finger 4, both hands play finger 3. So in order to warm up my brain to this, I decided to improvise a little bit using those finger patterns. And now I'm going to bring the notes that Chopin wrote, but concentrate on finger 3s going together, finger 4s going together, finger 3s going together. What this finger pattern does is it allows you to play in full circle. There's something so satisfying about a finger pattern which causes your body to make a large circle. It also requires your arm to travel instead of staying still. And in piano, a moving arm equals good sound, good tone production. Just like in cooking, fat equals flavor. And as you can tell, I like flavor. But yeah, in piano playing, a traveling arm equals quality sound. Here's a really nice moment. There is a quiet and dark and ominous chromatic scale. And Cortot suggests using 2 thumbs in a row in the left hand. We've talked a little bit about 2 thumbs in a row in my video about the thumb. Well, here's just another example of that. So you're playing very quietly, and what that does is it allows you to have the sense of completing half of the phrase and then starting another phrase. So it seems like 2 phrases within a single phrase. In the final result, you don't need to show those phrases, but this just helps your mind, and it also helps your body to organize and orient. Another really cool thing he does here is in the right hand to finish it off. Oftentimes, when you're a young student, we learn to put your thumb on the white keys for a chromatic scale, right? Your thumb is, any of you who have done chromatic scales, I promise your thumb has been on white keys. Isn't that right? Well, Cortot taught me something brand new I'd never even thought of before. The right hand is kind of low, so we're going to use 4, 3, 2, 3, 2. Starting on E, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2. I have the feeling like I'm pushing a lawnmower, just pushing my arm forward. It's a really good feeling. That's a high quality movement right there. I love this idea so much that I did the same fingering in another piece I'm doing for this recital, which is the Haydn F minor variations. There's a moment with a chromatic scale, and I'm going to go ahead and use this fingering again. It may not be appropriate for a classical style, but we're going to try it, and a lot of this is experimenting. Now keep in mind, a lot of ideas that many people have, including myself, about fingering are very bad ideas, especially in the beginning when you haven't had much experience yet. So just dig hard, keep studying, and keep looking for good fingerings. As you develop a sense of what constitutes a good fingering and what constitutes a bad fingering, then you can experiment and try different things out, and it becomes really fun. I hope this video gives you a little bit of an idea of what to avoid, as well as some good ideas that may seem risky or weird, but they're actually quite artistic and quite solid fingerings and quite exciting. Cortot has taught me new ways to use my body, things that I would have never considered. Andras Schiff just gives clever ideas. I wish I could be his friend, but I can't. So, that's life.
Lost my voice. Stop rushing me. There are places in the road. Give me some time to wear it on the road. Leave me be. Walking the walk.